Thanks, John. Hi, guys. How's everybody doing? Good. It's really great to be here. It's been great to have Johnny explain everything to me and meet Dr. Townsend and have AACC have me around. We've got a incredible thing here. So I'm really enjoying the people and the culture and the whole experience. I want to tell you a little story. There was a Sunday school teacher who had a new Sunday school. She'd never been to this Sunday school before, and she had third grade kids. Anybody ever here work with third grade kids? Okay, lots of energy, right? And she's trying to relate to the kids. So she thinks, I'll do one of those ice-breaking things to make sure they're comfortable. So she comes in, she says, hi, I'm Mrs. Smith. I've got a question for you kids because I'm new here. Here's an identification question. She says, three things. What is gray, has a bushy tail, and eats nuts in a tree? Nobody says anything. And she goes, kids, that's just an easy question. What's gray, has a bushy tail, it eats nuts and lives in a tree? Dead silence. She says, kids, I'm not trying to trick you. It's really like a get to know you. Gray, bushy tail, eats nuts, lives in a tree. And finally, little Billy in the back row raises his hand and she says, Billy, thank you for being so brave. Tell us what it is. He says, well, it sounds like a squirrel, but I'll say Jesus. Now, with the topic we're going to go into, it's very important to understand what you guys are hearing that's Jesus and what you guys are hearing that's really squirrely. Because we're going to be talking about a topic that I speak to a lot of college students about, and it's the topic of marriage. Look, I'm a psychologist. You're having some feelings right now. But let me explain what we're going to go into. There is a pressure in college students, and it has three words. And here's the pressure. Ring. You know the other two. Say it with me. Ring by spring. And the ladies are going, woo, woo, and the guys are going, no. And there's a lot of pressure on you guys to have the ring by spring. And I want to talk about, how do you know? What does God say? What does the Bible say about whether you should be a ring by spring or not? Because a lot of people feel like it's an expectation, and it's not even an option, it's something you do. Well, let's get this straight. Marriage is the greatest gift of God. God gave marriage as a show of the bride of Christ, as the church, and Christ himself as the husband, and what a great metaphor that is, and Ephesians talks about that. But it's not the only option in college. And a lot of you guys are already married and you're already engaged, and that's a great thing because lots and lots of people got married in college and have a great experience. Dr. Townsend did. He just told me his story. He's been married 58 years. He thinks it's going to last. But here's the thing. Some of you guys don't feel like you have a choice, and I want to show some of the reasons why the Bible teaches and good sense teaches that you've got a choice. God may lead you to ring by spring. He may lead you somewhere else, but you need to know you have an option there. It's not the only way, it's a good way. Why does God have people in college? What is college about? I spent a lot of time with Johnny Moore yesterday talking about the vision here for Liberty, and I love the vision because God gave college to us as a space of growth. It's the only time in your life that you'll have the space of growth where you transition between mom and dad and growing up under them and then growing up as an adult. It's the only time that you have this kind of opportunity. And it's a very important and a special kind of a precious space. It's transition. It's a place where you're going to find your area of study, whether you're in music or business or ministry or art or sports. A time to find your passions, what you're really, really good at. A time to find your career. A time to meet lots of great new people and find God at a deeper level. It's a time to get to know what you're made of. A time to get to know you and yourself. The Bible says in Psalm 139, search me and know me and try my heart. It's a time for you to have God search you and know you and try your heart. So I thought what would be helpful would be to talk about how do you know if you're a ringer by Springer or if you're something else. And I wanted to give you 5 thoughts to take away with you as a way to determine that. Because these 5 thoughts help you see this is something I need to look at as the way I'm going, or maybe it's not. But either way, you must know that you have a choice. First off, how do you want to go through college? How do you want to go through this one-time experience in life called college? Do you want to go through married or do you want to go through single? You see, the Bible says it like this. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, it says, therefore shall a man leave his mother and father and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. It's the leaving and the cleaving process that college is a big part of. You know, if you go to the Hebrew and the word leave there, in the Hebrew, one of the translations is, it means to forsake, or to even make destitute. To leave and cleave and marry someone else, you really have to forsake your mom and dad. You take the good things they gave you, you appreciate the good things they gave you, but you're changing. You're finding your faith in a different way. You like different music, you like different worship styles, you have a different personality. You have to forsake. That's what the Bible says in order to cleave. Some people want to go through and they haven't really left yet and they begin cleaving too soon and they really haven't done the leaving part. College is also a time to focus on new ideas and who you are and what's your style of life. And yet, it takes energy to go through college and get all those opportunities. And the Bible talks about that too. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7, he says, a married man is concerned about the affairs of the world, how he can please his wife, and his interests are divided. An unmarried man or virgin or woman or virgin is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord in both body and spirit. But a married man is concerned about, a woman is concerned about the affairs of the world and how she can please her husband. You see, a single person is free to be concerned 100% about the Lord's affairs at college. What are you as a single person doing with the Lord's affairs? You're finding great friends. You're thinking about things in a new way. You've got a lot of energy around here. You're looking at classes you've never taken. You're trying new things. You're going on semesters abroad. And you're undivided and free and focused to do that. When I was in grad school, I went through grad school as a single, and I had several married guys, and I just had so much admiration for them. And I went up to one of them and I said, the guy had 4 kids, and he's a grad student. I said, how in the world do you do it? He said, it's really easy. I said, what's your secret? He said, I make C's and D's. Now, what was he saying to me? He was saying, I love being married, I love being a dad, but the reality is my interests are divided, like the Bible says. Remember, it's apples and oranges. You choose how you're going to go through, but the Bible says there is a division. Not better or worse, but kind of count the cost. Second reason to think about whether you should be married or not. People struggle about the one that got away. I can't let her go away. She's the best thing I've ever seen. I can't let him go away. He's got great teeth and great hair. Well, is that really true? I mean, not about the great teeth and hair, sure, but is that really true that there's going to be a one that got away? You know what I found? Is that a lot of people in college learn about dating and learn about other people because they dated a lot of really nice, cool Christian people and they learned some things. And when I work with couples afterwards, people that got married outside of college and after college, and I talk to them about, look back at your college days. You know what the really healthy ones tell me? They say, I really enjoyed dating a lot of people in college because I got to know people from all walks of life, people with different personalities, people with life experiences. Basically, it was a great laboratory. Now, if you're dating someone, turn to them and say, am I your lab rat? Am I an experiment for you? You are. No, don't do it right now. But you are part of that experiment called leaving and cleaving. And people look back in their marriages and think, I'm so glad God gave me that person or that person to get to know and to spend time with and to dream about and pray about. And we didn't marry each other, but they were so much a part of my growing up. Don't worry about the one that got away. It's a big world, and God has the cattle on 1,000 hills. Not saying anybody's cattle. But God is a God of abundance, and people get kind of desperate. You don't need to get desperate. Third reason. I talk about cows and you clap. Didn't get it. Okay. Third reason. Are you lonely, and is that why you want to get married? Let me kind of stop preaching and start meddling for a second. Some people want to get married because they're lonely and because they feel like they need somebody around them. We call that an opposite sex dependency in psychology. An opposite sex dependency, where I don't feel like I've really got what I need unless I'm in love with somebody. And I'm telling you, as a psychologist and a Christian counselor, and I do this for thousands of people, that is not a really good thing. Some people look at when they're alive is when they're in love. And when they're not in love, they're not alive. And they feel dead inside, and they feel like something's wrong with them, and they're not complete. And they go to the party, and they're stag, and like, what's wrong with me? Maybe something's right with you. Maybe you're okay. You see, because some... I wish I could listen to these conversations. This is very interesting. Because some people are like bus stop people. And you might have a bus stop friend like, you're Sally and your friend is Sarah, and Sarah hangs around you when she's not in love. And she talks about the next guy, and you spend time, and you go out and you work out, and you go to church and all this, and you have a Starbucks. And then Sarah falls in love, and you don't see Sarah for 6 months because she got hijacked. And you think, did she get kidnapped? Is there a ransom? No, Sarah was in love, and then she and the guy break up, and now she's your buddy again. Oh, you're back. Yeah, I'm with you because I'm not in love. You're no better. And then Sarah falls in love again, and she's hijacked again. And there's this great guy, and you see her 6 months later. And you know what you call them? You call them bus stop relationships. I'm just a bus stop waiting for you to fall out of love, and now we'll be buddies, and you go again. You know what we call that? Opposite sex dependency. God never intended you to feel lonely because you were not in love. You'd better feel good when you're not in love. You better feel full of friends and activities and God and cool stuff. You'd better feel good when you're not in love. I wrote a book about this. Johnny mentioned, it's called Beyond Boundaries. It's how to know how to trust and how to know how to open up and have really cool and intimate and deep relationships, and you don't have to have a romantic connection to do that. You're supposed to be full of the right kinds of people, whether or not you're in love. That's what this material is about. Now, the next reason is about the S word. Okay, we'll just close in prayer right now. How's that? And the S word is sex. It's just reality, right? The Bible talks a lot about the gift of sex. Oh, mercy. And if you can hold still, I want to make a point. I don't know if you can. Because a lot of people say, I've got to get married because I burn. I burn. That's what it talks about in the Bible. And I can't hold off, and there's so much pressure, and I want to get married. Let's talk about sex. Look, this is a G-rated talk, okay? 1 Corinthians 7, Paul says, if you burn, it's better to marry than to burn, because if you burn, you lost self-control. And a lot of people say, look, I burn and it's just out of control and I got to get married. The Bible that does not teach that as the only verse about sex and marriage. In fact, there's one that solves the burning problem. And it's in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 23. And it's talking about one of the fruits of the spirits. And you know what it says? It says, one of the fruits of the spirits is called self-control. 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 Chastity, abstinence, purity, virtue. We need more Christian college kids who say, I'm taking a stand for self-control. And if I learn self-control and how to know that I have these pressures but say no to them, and make sure I've got healthy activities and I'm out there finding God and great people in my activities, and I'm dealing with that, and I'm learning what psychologists call delay of gratification, and frustration tolerance, which we would call in the Bible patience. I'm learning patience. I solve the burning problem. The burning verse in 1 Corinthians 7, it's when you can't learn self-control or won't learn self-control or don't like self-control, so you just think, I'm at the mercy of my weaknesses. But it's a weakness, guys, and it's a weakness, gals, because God's higher law is self-control. Let me tell you something about marriage research. They've done thousands of studies on people who are married and people who are single. And people, when they were single, who didn't have any self-control, and they acted out a lot, acted out sexually a lot, acted out promiscuously a lot, thinking, and now I'm going to get married and it's going to be great. They have worse sexual relationships in marriage than people who were chaste and abstinent. The people who were chaste and abstinent have a higher ratio of happy sexual married lives. Guess why? Because marriage, and everybody that's married here will attest to this, marriage sexuality and marriage intimacy involves self-control and patience and putting yourself second and timing and loving that other person and listening to that other person and not putting your impulses first and your desires first. And sometimes singles think, oh no, when I get married, it's going to be out of control great. Well, it's going to be great, but it's not going to be out of control. Because there's another person that you love, and you put yourself second, and you sacrifice and surrender. And you'd better learn self-control before you get married, because it will help the sexuality and the passion after you get married. In a really strange way, self-control now as a college student will bring you higher levels of passion and higher levels of excitement in your marriage and as a sexual being. Self-control trumps the burning. And then, the idea of being incomplete. I'm incomplete because I'm not married. People will say, well, I'm a square hole and I found a round peg, or I found a square peg. I don't even know those metaphors, but sort of like I'm half a person and she's half a person. We come together and we're a person. This is incompleteness theory. That is not a biblical theory. The Bible never says you're walking around as a half a person like a zombie, and you find another really good-looking zombie, and now you're married. Two half-dead zombies are now a person. The Bible doesn't teach that. It says we are to be transformed into the likeness of Jesus Christ as a single. Your completeness is with Christ. Your completeness is with your small group. Your completeness is with your family. Your completeness is with your church. Your completeness is with liberty. Your completeness is with the church. That's where you find it. You're a whole person in relationship. You're not a half person looking around for somebody to complete you. I have a really good friend who told me a great story. She said, I was insecure and I didn't feel like I was ready for life. And I took my insecurity and I found a guy and I got married. They've been married 25 years. She told me 5 years into the marriage, she said, I married a great guy. He's an awesome guy. He loves me. He puts me first. We have fun. He's a great guy. He listens. And for a guy to listen, it's pretty good. We're not great in the listening, right? But he's a good listener. She said, here's the thing. Here was my aha. She said, I was insecure, so I found a good guy. She said, I realized this. I changed from an insecure single person to an insecure married person. Great marriage, great guy. But the hole inside her was not filled by marriage. There is a fantasy that marriage will fill that hole of insecurity, incompleteness, and that is not what the Bible teaches. You need to be a whole person who's healed and got great ideas and great passions and great visions. You know what she did? She found a healthy church. She found a healthy small group. She found a healthy counselor, and the insecurity went away. But marriage was never intended by God to bring insecurity to security. Marriage was intended as a companionship and a picture of Christ and a way for two whole growing people to grow together. But never, never, never look at it as a way to fill a brokenness, a fear, a guilt problem, a I'm not enough problem. Marriage isn't counseling. Marriage isn't the transformation process. Marriage is two people that look at life and say, I love God and I love you. Let's go take the hill. Let's travel. Let's find our mission. Let's find our passion. Let's find our ministry. So don't ever put marriage in that place. It's a great thing, but it won't solve those issues. Those are your reasons. There's 5 of them. I ask that you pray about them. Talk about them in your small group. Just talk about the pros and cons. Remember, it's apples and oranges. You can go through married and through college married and have a great experience. You can go through college single, but you've got to have a choice, and it's your choice, and you're the one who's going to decide how you go through college. But you've got a choice. Don't give in to the pressure. Do it because you've determined it and because God determined it. So let me give you the alternative to Ring by Spring. There is an alternative. Take a lot of classes. Take 1,000,000 classes. Liberal arts, sciences, theology, religion, missions, art. Take underwater basket weaving. Was my favorite. Take 1,000,000 courses, guys. Find your path. Find your passions. Meet a bazillion people. Have a lot of friends. Travel. Get to know God better. Get to know who you are inside, what your voice is, who you are as a person. And instead of Ring by Spring, on graduation day, take your cap, your mortarboard, and go Fling by Spring. Fling by Spring. Flinging up in the air, because you'll look back on these days and say, I am a different person. I've discovered who I was. I'm on a Fling by Spring. God bless you guys. God bless your future. Thank you.